So welcome everybody. Welcome to Hassan Podcast. This evening we are talking about going into the void. The void. I'll talk a little bit about what the void is. In just so I'll just talk a little bit about what is the void. So there is emptiness. Emptiness actually does not mean that there is nothing there. Emptiness just means that there's there is nothing that you can touch or see. However, there is still something there because there are energy is something that you can't really touch. It's not like an object where you can you can touch it. So within emptiness, there's still a lot of things in there. There are just things in there that we can't see or hear or touch very easily. They are usually just energies, but they are potential energy for us to create from. And then there is the void. So within the void, there really is not, well, I wouldn't say there's absolutely nothing there, but it's devoid of a couple of things. It's devoid of emotions. It's devoid of thoughts. Okay, so there's still something within the void, but it does not have thought forms in there. And that is a good thing because that's actually what we want into the void. So let me just actually switch over to the presentation for this evening. So I talk a little bit about what the void is. In the void, I would say the void is more empty than empty. So there are less things in the void than there are in emptiness. But there is the most important thing is within the void, there is no emotions, no thought forms. And we as a human being, we compose of mind, body, and spirit. And we always hear that. So mind, body, and spirit. So within the mind, though, is actually within the mind, there are two things. Within the mind, there are thought forms, and then there are emotions. So four components that we have is we have a physical body, we have emotional body, we have mental body, and we have the spirit body. So there are those four things. So the spirit body is really where our soul is. And the physical body is, well, is your physical body, the body that you use to experience in this reality. So the reason that we cannot manifest things or we cannot get things so easily, it's because we have a lot of thoughts. If you just notice, your mind is there are always some thoughts running around in there. And and those are not just thoughts, they have emotional qualities to them as well. There are some thoughts when you think of it, you may feel happy. Some thoughts when you think of them, you feel sad or any other range of emotions in there. So thoughts and emotions are kind of go hand in hand most of the time. There are very few thoughts that you have no emotional attachment to. There's usually some. Some of them is really heavy emotional, it's loaded very heavily with emotions. But some is just it's not as heavily loaded, but you would still at the very least have a notion of whether a thought is a good thought or a bad thought. So, and then it's these thoughts that are and emotions in part of us that really is interfering with how the spirit part, which is the soul part of us, is communicating with the body. And because of this interference with mental body and emotional body, so we don't manifest instantaneously, which is actually a good thing, because if we think of something, actually if we think of, okay, I'm afraid of being I'm afraid of having a spider dropped on me, for example. So it's a thought, and then there's emotions, depending on how I feel about spiders. So that if we have instantaneous manifestation, then once you've thought of it, it actually is much faster for you to actually experience having a spider fall on you, to allow you to do that. So when there is no interference, then whatever your soul think of, you actually would be able to experience it. So between the spirit and the physical, there are the emotions and the thoughts that's in there. And because we haven't quite mastered our emotions and our thoughts yet, so that's why all these interference. And when we can get around that emotional content and the thought content, then we actually would be able to manifest faster. We'll be able to, for example, heal our body much easier. So that's why I want to talk about how to get into the void. Because if you want to manifest something, whether it is material things or whether it is just healing, or whether it is just being in a better mood, then all those things, when there is no interference, then once you think of something, you can experience it, you can manifest it for yourself pretty quickly. So any questions so far before I continue on?
I have two questions.
Sure.
One is that what about energy and ether? That's the other question. You've heard about ether, correct?
Okay.
Yeah, could you talk about those two things, how they apply to what you just talked about?
As I mentioned, that in the void, there is still things in there. Energy is still in there. The only thing that it does not have is it does not have thoughts in there. It does not have emotions in there. So when you're in the void, those are things that will not interfere. Energy is always there because that's the fabric of the universe. So
Yes.
it is when we think of thoughts, then it starts to populate. And when we think of thoughts, I would say sincerely enough or seriously enough, then we can actually make it real.
Okay.
So energy and ether, I would say energy is a subset of ether. So with
Okay.
ether, there are things that are called energy.
Okay. That just brought up another question. What about polarity? Is there polarity in the void, or
Polarity is a concept. It's a
okay?
okay. So within the void, this would not be there
Okay.
because it's a concept.
So, like, what about like electric or magnetic? I mean, does that not apply in the void?
That I don't know because
Okay.
I don't know what um, magnetism is yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Is in the void? I'm not sure,
Hmm.
but I do know that thoughts are not there,
Mm-hmm.
emotions are not there.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. In that case, so let's continue. Okay. So let's now just move into talking about how to get into the void. So the requirements. These are, well, this is not the only way, but this is one way to get into the void. I think there are always more than one way to get into the void. This is the one way that Sifu James took us there. And there are other ways. However, I'm just talking about this one way. So total eyes, what are total eyes? Total eyes are all the eyes. So real eye, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the unity eye and also infinity eyes. So those are all the eyes activated. That is total eye. So what does activating all of the eyes do? It just expand your awareness, your consciousness. So that's one thing. And then we have pure energy. Pure energy is actually a program. A program, pure energy, is to cut the thoughts, I would say, is to cut or to cut your, I would say, attachment to thoughts and emotions. So it actually shuts down your emotions and thoughts. So when your emotions and your thoughts are shut down, then you actually have pure energy. Or the programs that's created is named pure energy, is because when you have no thoughts, you have no emotions, then you your own energy can actually become much bigger, because a lot of the times it's really your own thinking, your emotions that's limiting you. So when emotions and thoughts are shut down, then you have access to your own energy in a much bigger way. And then void activate is really to take you into this void state. And then we can activate the soul blueprint, which is at the 12-inch plane. If you want to do some healing, then you would want to activate the soul blueprint, because soul blueprint is where you can you can find out, you can actually heal yourself there. So, but if you're not doing any healing, then you don't need this. Okay. So let's actually experience some things first. Okay, so the experience. So let me just stop this. So let's just experience.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So when you activate void, it's not much higher than 12 inches? I thought void much higher.
It is higher, yes. Void is in the sixth dimension. It's the void.
So when you activate something high, doesn't it automatically activate everything what lower?
Yes, you're right. However, 12-inch is already activated, but what you want to activate is the soul blueprint, which is in the 12-inch plane. So you want to actually activate it specifically so that when you do healing, you can get access to it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let's
Another question, do we have to say healing activate after this? I mean, how do we do healing?
we're not quite there yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
So remember, oh, okay, you may not remember. So the healing part is you want to do three things. You want to do a cleanse, you do a clearing, and then you do a purify. So those three steps. So cleanse is really is to shift the energy that is making you ill. And then clear is actually to clear out any old energy, actually cleanse it and then clear it out. And then purify is to actually fill in, because when you clear something out, it creates a vacuum. So you want to fill it back in with love, which is what purify is. So that is usually when you do healing, you do that. You do cleansing, clearing, and then purify. And so let's just do a give it a try first. So let's activate 8 and 3-8 activate. Okay, come back. So what do you sense that is shifted?
I'm sorry, I missed it. What do we activate?
8 and 3-8 activate.
What is 8 and 3-8?
8 is the frequency. 8 and 3-8.
Okay.
Just activate it and feel how it feels. Okay, how does it feel? Anyone?
I started feeling pulsing on forehead and then headache.
My head start to shaking.
Your head starts
Spacious.
to shake. What was that? Sorry.
Spacious. I felt more spacious.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Yeah. 8 and 3-8 are commands that you can use to quiet down your mind. So when your mind is quiet down, you feel more space. That's for sure. Okay, good. So now that let's do another test. Okay. Void activate. Okay, come back. How does this feel?
I feel more spacious, more expanded, and the pulsing still continues, but I just feel much more expanded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I feel the difference between just using 3-8 and 8 and versus using void is the void I actually feel the top of my head is kind of much stronger because void is much higher dimension. Okay. Now let's try this first. Okay. The next one is pure energy activate. Okay, come back. How is this one?
Not as expansive as void.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt like spiraling energy.
What dimension is pure energy?
Your energy just shuts down your own
Okay.
emotions and thoughts. So
Could there be?
you're
Yeah.
just feeling your own energy when there's no interference.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel deep meditative state.
Mm-hmm.
Would there
Yeah.
be resistance to shutting down emotions and thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, this is just using these individual programs. So we are